we will now have two presentations from projects. Still, first Synergy from Interact BSR. So go ahead, Eric, I see you're online.
Okay, I'll share my screen. And thanks for inviting me, and also thanks everyone else for their earlier presentations. It's been a extremely interesting morning to hear about all the work with nutrient recycling that's going on in the region. I'm going to talk. Was asked to talk a little bit more about this new project, which is Synergy: Circular Nutrients for Sustainable Baltic Sea Region, funded by Interact Baltic Sea Region. And it started in November 2023. My name is Eric Sindhoy. I'm a senior scientist at RISE Research Institutes of Sweden in the Department of Agriculture and Food. And my colleague Cheryl Cordero is also here. She's a project manager, EU project manager at the Department of Agriculture and Food. And we're the coordinators for the project. To get a little overview is that Synergy was really mainly aimed to focus on supporting several ongoing initiatives in the region and in the EU. That was including the regional nutrient recycling strategy that Saudi has talked about earlier, and of course the Circular Nutrient Economy Action Plan and many others, as well as the PA Nutri of the EU SBSR, which is why we're here. The vision of Synergy was more or less from the beginning. We were a large group who started to put together an idea for this project, and the vision was more or less to support the implementation of the Baltic Sea Regional Nutrient Recycling Plan that Saudi talked about earlier. That was the main vision that we had for the project, and our long-term impact that we hope to achieve with this project is to develop and promote standards for safe and sustainable recycling of nutrients, develop strategies for implementing nutrient recycling as a measure to improve national and regional nutrient balances. Not always clear how that's going to happen. To increase the acceptance and the use of recycled nutrients, create business opportunities around nutrient recycling, and also to improve policy coherence concerning nutrient recycling in the Baltic Sea region. So these were our visions and long-term what we hope to achieve through Synergy. It's quite a lot, I think, to try to achieve. So it became obvious to us as we were putting this together that we really need cross-sectoral collaboration to be able to achieve this. We need focusing not only on agriculture, but also municipalities, industry, policies in the middle, the environmental aspect of it. All sectors are going to need to work together here, which is essentially where the name came from, Synergy, because there's synergies. We found synergies in recycling nutrients from municipalities, agricultural sector, business, industry sector, all of them. So that's the need for mixing all of these together into Synergy project. Our partnership we put together to try to achieve this is we have partners all around the Baltic Sea region in all EU countries, and from the major different sectors, and from both research groups, end users, small companies, municipalities, municipal service providers, as well as we have many national authorities as well as who are participating as associated organizations. The Synergy, we wanted to focus. The focus is, I mean, as we heard from earlier talks from Kari, who's presented a lot of really really nice concrete science about using and verifying, testing different bio-based fertilizers, as they call them. A lot of the focus here on synergy, on achieving our visions and our long-term goals, are focusing on the target groups for nutrient recycling. And here we kind of pinpointed 3 main target groups that we're going to try to focus on. And one of them is on the end user, which is, we see that's like the most important one, because they're going to be the ones, the farmers and the farmer organizations and the farming advisors. They're the ones who are going to eventually going to be using these recycled nutrients, and are going to be incorporating them into their agricultural practices and their best management practices. So that's our main target group that we're going to focus on. We also have to focus on industry and municipalities that will be producing the recycled nutrients, and they're the ones who are going to be actually taking the side streams, the biomass streams, and trying to convert them into usable products that can be then used in primary production again to create this circular system. And then our final target group was the national and regional authorities, which both local authorities and national and regional authorities, in order to help, they play a very significant role in help trying to get this going and to get it all together and to make this happen. We felt so. These are our primary target groups that we're going to try to focus on all the different aspects throughout the project. Then we started off with looking at our long-term goals and visions, and what do we need, what kind of solutions do we need to really make these visions happen. And one of them, which Saudi was also talking quite a bit about with these nutrient imbalances, regional and national nutrient imbalances, where we have areas with nutrient surplus and we have areas with nutrient deficit. And this is quite clear, even if maybe on some regions it's more kind of a rough scale of how things are balanced, in others, as we saw in Finland, where you have quite detailed level of analysis as to where the areas of surplus and deficit are. But what's lacking is strategies for how to use nutrient recycling to help balance these areas of surplus and deficit. So we really need to work on that, on developing strategies for being able to use nutrient recycling to create nutrient balances within the Baltic Sea region. We also felt that there was a really need for an industry standard for recycled fertilizers, or for nutrient recycling, industry standards for evaluating and determining their potential. As we got a good little insight into a lot of the different products that Kari was presenting that they were looking at in Lex for Bio, and just in our initial sweep of potential products that are available in the Baltic Sea region, we have a lot of different products. Many are only maybe very locally available, with a rather small production volume. Still, there's a huge difference in them. There's a huge difference in how you're going to market them, and to be able, for the end users, for the farmers, to be able to rely on these products and to have trust in buying them and using them in their agricultural management practices. There needs to be some type of an industry standard for determining these quality standards of different products. And then there's the whole market evaluation and policy review, how this is affecting nutrient recycling, and how can this be used to aid and create a market demand for recycled nutrient fertilizers. You can have a supply of recycled nutrient fertilizers, but if you don't have a demand for them, this is not going to get going. You have to have farmers who want to use these products instead of regular mineral fertilizers, and to supplement to replace the use, or at least partial use, of their mineral fertilizers with these recycled fertilizers in order for this to really get going. And then we also have a plan for commercial investments. So the next phase of the project, which we're starting to move into, is trying to pilot these solutions that we determine. And the first one is through the creation of technology support centers for processing, basically to give in these support centers processing needs for nutrient recycling of various bio or side streams. So these support centers are more or less, they're available to anyone in the region who needs help trying to determine what is the best available technology for recycling their side stream, or for handling maybe a certain step in the recycling process. It is going into pelletizing, or the granulization of the product into a granule that can be used in modern spreading equipment, or so forth. So we have these technology support centers is a main solution. And then we also have we're also creating evaluation centers to determine the quality and the agronomic potential of these recycled nutrient fertilizers, much as Kari described in the Lex for Bio project. Only here, what we will be testing more the standards draft that will be produced earlier in the project, this international or Baltic Sea Region standard, industry standard for evaluating and determining the quality of the recycled nutrients fertilizers. So this will be testing this in these evaluation centers, and here we will offer these services to more or less anyone in the region who's producing recycled nutrient fertilizers, to be able to help them determine the quality of them on a standardized basis. And then we will also be focusing on trying to pilot the increased acceptance of nutrient recycling, and this will be done through demonstrations and field trials with various recycled nutrient fertilizers. And here on the map here, we see where we have these different centers and these different sites located. There might be more little smaller scale demonstration trials coming up in the other countries as well. But this is an effort through demonstration trials and field trials, and to have like field walks with farmers and connecting them to agricultural fairs, where we can get farmers involved and interested, and see the actual products being used and being used to replace mineral fertilizers. And then we also have the piloting of these 4 commercial investments in nutrient recycling. I'm not going to go into so much detail about them right now. And then finally, we move into the dissemination. The kind of the final phase of any project is disseminating and getting all of this out, aimed at our target groups, our stakeholders, our main stakeholders, which are the farmers and the companies and municipalities and the national authorities. And we're going to do this through a series of roundtable and workshops, where we're trying to get feedback at the national and regional and local levels, which are feedback based on the strategies we've developed and the guidelines and the standards and the policy recommendations. And then we're also gonna have an ongoing promotion of the support centers, both the technology support center and the evaluation centers, and also of the nutrient recycling investments. And as we've also heard all through the morning, there are currently many ongoing activities which are more or less successful ongoing activities of nutrient recycling, creating struvite from wastewater streams, creating other types of pelleted or granulated fertilizer products from various digestate streams or other waste streams. There are many such examples which in the Baltic Sea region. So the project will also find many of these, and we'll try to highlight them and to help use them, these ongoing successful studies to promote the whole nutrient recycling themes. And then this just shows that none of these activities are, of course, happening on their own. Everything is really interlinked and feeding into each other, the different activities and the different phases of the project. Just a little open call for engagement. Feel free more or less to sign up for our newsletter. It was really interesting to hear about the other projects going on here. It's definitely, it seems like there's a lot of room for collaboration between Synergy and these other projects, and so that's really good to create. We can get in contact after this meeting and see how we can work more closely together to achieve our goals. And then also I think there's in the future could be really helpful also to co-organize events. Usually the more of these projects that get together when organizing an event, the more successful it gets. We get in bigger crowds, so that could be really useful as well. And with that, I'll just leave you with our webpage, the official webpage for Synergy, which is available on the Interreg site, and email addresses if you want to contact us. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Sounds really interesting. If somebody has questions, we can take one or two now again. I wanted to maybe ask myself, you mentioned the strategies for how to use the low recycled fertilizers for balancing nutrients. In what scale you were thinking about it? Like a local scale or more whole Baltic Sea region or country scale? Or? Can you hear me?
I can fill in that I think it needs to be. I think we need to look at many different scales. I think it's always smartest to start at the local scale, because I mean even in these what we've seen in when we've looked at detailed maps of Sweden with areas of phosphorus surplus and deficit, that even in the areas that have an extreme surplus, if you go down, that's maybe the county level, but then you pick out a couple farms that we're working on there, and even on the farms, like the farms with the high animal density and that have large numbers of cows or pigs, and we look at all of the fields that they have, almost all of them have some fields, and it's usually as the farm grows and they start buying in more land, which is further away. It's very often those fields further away have much lower phosphorus. So like even at the farm level in these areas that are surplus phosphorus, it can be redistributed to some, that won't take up all the surplus, but it can handle a lot. And the thing is that all these technologies to process these different waste streams to create a product that is concentrated enough and dry enough without water to be able to transport like long distances to be able to get to these larger areas of deficit. These technologies are costly. They cost a lot of money. So any solution that we can find on the local scale to avoid processing, but better have more efficient use of the nutrients, reduce losses in the use that we're using them. These type of solutions, I think, they're like priority one, because they're the most cost effective, almost always the most cost effective solutions. And then we go down, okay, now the rest of this surplus, then we have to deal with this. Maybe there's a farm that's only producing crops that's just a couple maybe 10, 20 kilometers away. So then it might not need to be processed so much. It can just be maybe just dewatered and then transported to them. So there's like different levels of processing that can be used for the different scales. But when you get to the big scales, like you're going to move it from southern Sweden to mid Sweden or to the Mälardalen region, then you need a lot of processing, and the costs go up, and the profitability is much more difficult, and then you run into a whole different slew of issues.
And Vera, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. Just the comment to be made to the Synergy project, but also maybe to the previous speakers. But I think it's particularly relevant for the Baltic Sea region. I thought it was really impressive what was presented by the Lex for Bio project, testing these recycled fertilizer products. And we saw that there is a lot of aspects we need to take care of. And now the Baltic Sea region is a region which, due to the sensitivity of the Baltic Sea, has a number of environmental problems. So I think one focal point of the Synergy project should be really, yes, of course, we would like to promote recycled fertilizer, but not only with the goal on looking on recycling, which of course is an important aspect, but there's a lot of safety issues that are particularly relevant for the Baltic Sea region. For instance, we need fertilizer that performs as well as the mineral fertilizer in not leading to more leakage to the Baltic Sea. We have all these problems with the hazardous substances, the pharmaceuticals, so we need a product that is really, from a Baltic Sea perspective and high sensitivity, safe for use in the Baltic Sea. And ultimately, it relates to all the production and ongoing industrial processes that produce the matter from which the fertilizer can be produced in the end. They need to be altogether more sustainable to get a good product, because otherwise, if we only focus on the recycling aspect, we risk to overlook a lot of other environmental problems that might arise from using this recycled fertilizer when it's not safe for use. For instance, also hazardous substances, microplastics, pollution. So it's a sustainability issue altogether that needs to be looked at, I think, in contrast also to all of the environmental problems. And then depending on where we stand, the recycled fertilizer might not be the best choice in the end for the Baltic Sea. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric, do you want to answer, or somebody else of the speakers to reflect on the safety issues?
I can just say that I think, of course, you're right. I mean, of the safety and quality is a very big part. I think Kari pointed that out really quite clearly in the research results that they've taken, that they've delivered from Lex for Bio on many different aspects. I think it is also this is also maybe linking to various types of best technologies recommended for processing. I mean, if you just, I mean, it depends on how you process the waste streams to create the products. There's of course different ways that you can do it, and different results you will get in the end. Of course, the problem is that many of these processes, I mean, all of these processes, all of processing or treatment is costs money. And the more that it costs, and already these types of processing techniques, I mean, as it was mentioned a bit in the chat here, that it's not possible to compete economically the way that things are set up today for the cost of nutrients in a bio-based fertilizer or recycled nutrient compared to a mineral fertilizer production. But I think that's largely because energy and fossil fuels they're not actually paying for their real burden in society and in the world we have. So that's a whole nother story to get into. But of course, the products that are developed, the recycled nutrients and the recycled nutrient fertilizers need to be safe. They need to be reliable, and they need to not make the matters worse for eutrophication in the Baltic Sea, of course. Still, on the same side is many of these waste streams, wastewater, sludge, manure, many of these waste streams that Sari pointed out are the main sources of nutrients for potentially recycling. They are already being used, but they're being used locally, and they're being used imbalanced, so that we're creating areas of surplus. So simply by removing the surplus and putting it in a place that's in a deficit, okay, you're still using the same type of fertilizer, which may have a poorer performance compared to the triple phosphate or a pure mineral nitrogen fertilizer. But it's still the same quantity. It's not like we're generating biomass streams solely for the purpose of producing fertilizers. I'm not sure really if there's how many studies have been looking at this at this level of system analysis, like the big system of using this, but that's probably a study that should be done. But in general, I very much agree with the comments that you make, that we do need to keep a focus on quality and assure that they are quality and that they're safe to use.
Such system analysis would be really interesting. And to link it to hazardous substances, the whole issue, that would be possibly very needed. So, unless there are further questions, we can move to the last project presentation by Silja Lehtpu on sustainable silage and how nutrients are recycled from silage production.
Hello.
Hello.
Do you hear me well, I hope?
Yes.
Yeah, hello. My name is Silja Lehtpu. I try now to share my screen. Okay. I hope it is visible.
It's good.
It's good. Thank you. Yes, I'm Silja Lehtpu. I'm the coordinator of the project Sustainable Silage, financed from Central Baltic Interreg program. And I represent the lead partner organization, Estonian Chamber of Agriculture and Commerce, which is the biggest farmers association in our country. A little general information. Our project is not directly focused maybe to recycling of nutrients, more to reducing silage effluents in full silage production cycle in farm level. But still, I tell later, there are still some links also to the nutrient recycling. And we are just in the middle of our implementation period, and partners we have from Estonia, Latvia, and Finland. And it is a good mixture of farmers associations, research organizations, and rural advisory center. And our project has very practical approach. We are focused to the real cooperation with farmers and involving farmers to our joint works, and so that they receive the best new knowledge and know-how. And according to our knowledge, this is the first project in BSR area, which is directly focused on silage production, at least in Interreg programs. And our main target groups are farmers. So we work together with 26 pilot farms. And additionally, we want to reach circa 200 farms in total who take part actively in our events like seminars, field days, and exchange visits. And there are some photos of our pilot farms and our events. So all the slides are illustrated with photos from our events. And we expect that at farm level, around 20 those pilot farms demonstrate some real positive results. Of course, we understand and we all know that it's not possible to reach or demonstrate some real results taken from soil or water samples from pilot or demo areas. Our project is way too short for that, but at least at farm level, we can demonstrate some real positive results in reducing nutrient runoffs from silage production cycle. So what are our main topics? At first, how to minimize silage effluent production, mainly in silage storages, but also starting already from grasslands. Then how to minimize effluent leakages from storages and farm territory. Unfortunately, there have been some cases where there have been pollution from silage storages from farms to the nearby rivers with very, very bad consequences. So how to avoid it. Also, yes, nutrient leakages, how to minimize them from grasslands, also from cornfields. Very big problem is rotten silage, because this is a big risk for environment regarding nutrient runoffs, and how to avoid rotten silage in storages, but also in farm territory, what can happen during transportation of silage from storages to the barn and from fields to the storage. So this is important. Then we work also with the quality of the silage, like nutritional value. So farmers could produce less tons and use less hectares to get the same nutritional value for their animals. One topic is also silage plastic from the rolls, how to handle them, how to clean them without nutrient leakages. It is possible to recycle them in our countries, but they have to be cleaned. So the companies who are selling the plastic, they are also taking it back. Now we are also analyzing and looking information for this plastic recycling issue. There are some developments or some plans in our 3 countries, but still mostly in process. And how to collect silage effluents efficiently from the territory of the farm, from storages. And also we are doing some practical field trials, the potential of using the silage effluents in fertilization. It is used also now in farms for fertilization. The practice is the regular practice that these are mixed with the manure, and later on it goes to the field as fertilizer. So now we are trying the different composition of effluents and water. Is it possible to use directly as fertilizers? So this trial is still in progress, so too soon to share any preliminary results. Yes, and in our pilot program, we try to keep very practical approach. We work with each farm individually. Each farm has their own 2-year action plan. And of course, the motivation of farmers is very important. So they really see that they get some really useful advice from our advisors and consultants and silage experts. And of course, we take and analyze many samples, and all the decisions are made based on those samples. And there are also some examples of the trials, experiments, which are going on in the farms. But these are only few examples. There are many different trials going on. And now already this year, we are finalizing with trials and tests. So each farm has their own trial, own plan. Also, our project partner from Finland, Luke, he conducted a pilot scale ensiling experiment. It started last year and it was finalized this year. So the aim is to evaluate different silage management factors on effluent production. So we now have really good information what to recommend to farmers, which silage management practices to use. So the effluent production is minimum. And in this experiment, 3 different raw materials was used, 3 different additives were used, and also 3 different replicates. So in total, 27 silos were analyzed. And in case there is some interest of these results of the experiment, then I can share the contacts and also the web link of Luke, where you can learn more about the results of this experiment. We have still many activities in process. As I said, we have this field trial going on in Jõgevamaa, Estonia, for evaluating the potential of silage effluent for grassland fertilization. Now we start to analyze the pilot program results in each farm. We prepare like case study about each farm and then more like consolidated report. And now we work actively with practical manual for farmers for sharing the latest new information and know-how about different agri-environmental technologies in silage production, starting from establishing the grasslands and ending with silage plastic handling and everything which is between. Also, we have analyzed the legislation in 3 countries regulating silage production, and now we are working with policy recommendations. So we have very good cooperation with governmental agencies. They all are represented in our project steering group and take part actively in our discussions and meetings. And yes, we continue with practical seminars, field days, exchange of experience visits for farmers. So the field days are the most popular events. So in practice, in some pilot farm or some other farm which is using some new practices, new technologies, and also introducing the machinery and how to use this machinery in most best way in order to reduce this effluent production already in the grasslands. So this is very short about our activities. So yeah, as you see, we don't have not that much focus to the research, but more using the available know-how and research which has been made by our partners, research organizations and other involved organizations, how to implement this new know-how already at farm level. So this is our aim. So in case of questions, I'm happy
Thank you.
to answer.
So welcome any questions now. Next we will move to funding programs. So any questions to Silja or maybe even other speakers this far? They would be welcome now. Nothing for now. So thank you a lot. It was nice to see you again. So next we have next we have the business example. Jenny Ylikaari from Kiertoravinne Gasum Business Cooperation.
Hi you all.
Hey.
My name is Jenny Ylikaari. And wait a second, I share my presentation. Now you see it, I think.
Yeah, if you put to presenting mode.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
No.
Thank you.
Yes, Elsie asked if I can tell you something about our cooperation with the biogas plants in Finland. And at first I will tell you something about Kiertoravinne as a company. And after that, I'll tell you what kind of service we are producing for the biogas plants and why. This company has started operations in 2022, and it's a circular economy company that offers a nutrient product management service, especially for biogas plants. Background for founding this company is actually Gasum focusing on their core business. Gasum is the largest producer of biogas in the Nordic countries. Kiertoravinne distributes all nutrient products from Gasum's biogas plants in Finland. And nowadays, we also offer the same service also to other biogas manufacturers. And Kiertoravinne in numbers, last year revenue over 3 million euros, this year over 7 million euros. So this is quite busy year for us, and delivered nutrient products last year 300,000 tons, and this year almost 500,000 tons. We deliver about 13,700 truckloads yearly, so 53 truckloads daily. So the whole business is mainly logistic operations. We have 5 employees at the moment, and we recycle nutrient products over 1,000 tons every day. Okay, the slide is not moving now. Here you can see the biogas plants which are including in our network. There is 10 biogas plants to total, and they are handling raw materials, mainly like bio-waste, sewage sludge, animal byproducts, and biosludge. One plant is producing fertilizer for organic farming. The business areas of our nutrient products are agriculture, where they will be used for fertilizing, soil improvement, and strengthening farm sludge. Also substrates, so 20 to 30% share of the mixture, and no other fertilizing is needed. And also we are delivering the products for industrial side and for nutrient feed for industrial wastewater treatment plants, NOx emission control, and maybe in future also for biochar manufacturing. Why we exist? The biogas producer manages many different products related to both biogas and side streams. So they must master a very wide range of markets and legislation. It's quite challenging to be an expert in biogas, energy markets, agriculture, and fertilizer markets at the same time. Our service is the solution to this challenge. We pick up the products from the biogas plant and take care of the entire supply chain. The services we have in this nutrient product management is marketing and sales of nutrient products, storage if necessary, product management and development, lobbying, reporting, and of course business development. So new products based on farmers' need, new services for farmers, and so on. The benefits of nutrient management service. Well, like I said, the biogas manufacturer can focus on their core business. We can focus totally on nutrient work and customers' need. Most of our employees are also part-time farmers, so we speak same language as the customers. We know the legislation and the limits that come from there. And thanks to our extensive network, we find the best applications for products and we find customers wherever they are. Of course, there is also some other benefits not mentioned here. And last one, what kind of cooperation is still needed? Here is few ideas. Business area of recycled nutrients is very young and undeveloped. So we need at least strong cooperation over business area because most challenges affect all operators. Also, we need more research to strengthen the acceptability of recycled nutrients, especially sewage sludge as a raw material. It would be very good to consider also cooperation with the agricultural trade, like Hankkia in Finland, on the sale of products. And also cooperation with the mineral fertilizer manufacturers for hybrid fertilization as a recommendation. Thank you. Do you have some questions?
Thanks a lot. It was really interesting, especially the kind of really concrete examples of what you are doing and what kind of cooperation is needed and so on. Does anybody have questions? No? No? So it was really clear. Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks.
And now we would move forward to funding. First, Interreg Baltic Sea Region, then a couple of words from Interreg Central Baltic. Marina had to cancel her presentation from today, but I will show what is kind of what calls they have open or coming up soon. and then from Nefco about the SAP fund. So, but first, Elena, if you are online.
Yes, I am. Hello, Elsie.
Hello.
And good afternoon from my side to everyone. It was really interesting to be here from the very morning and to follow all your presentations. And now I will share mine. This one. Yeah. So you have already today heard a couple of presentations from Interreg Baltic Sea Region projects. And now I would like to introduce you to another instrument which we call project platforms. My name is Yelena Kolosova, and I work as Senior Advisor for External Cooperation in Interreg Baltic Sea Region Managing Authority Joint Secretariat. And so, of course, we do deal a lot with supporting different actions that are aiming to save the Baltic Sea, to prevent pollution of the Baltic Sea. And there are quite many projects being implemented in our program at the moment. And at the same, as we have seen today, there are so many projects implemented and financed from other funding sources. That is why already for some time ago, we came up with an idea for an additional instrument, which we call project platforms. And this is not about creating new digital platforms, but this is the instrument that brings together projects and partners from different funding sources so that they can take a look what kind of results are being produced, what are the solutions being developed, and bring them together. So this is in a nutshell what the project platforms are in Interreg Baltic Sea Region. It's the instrument to create strategic synergies for a greater impact. Already today you exchanged that one solution is being developed here, another solution is being developed there. But how it is, it must be very difficult for the end user, for our target groups, to understand what is the best solution for them to be used, either in the ministry or being an advisor to farmers or being even a farmer. So this is what we would like to provide additional funding with and trigger additional or trigger wider cross-project and cross-fund partnerships so that we can see what is actually the result being achieved by all of us together. And how we imagine this kind of cooperation. So in the middle, you see that these are Interreg Baltic Sea Region. And of course, we do consider that our projects and results from our projects should be at the core of the project platform. And what, in addition, of course, it's not enough that they would be dealing with only the solutions that are being produced in our program. We would like that they also connect to the to other funding programs, like today was mentioned, Central Baltic Program, Horizon Program, and also Finnish national programs that are delivering actually quite exciting results that maybe people on the other side or on the other coast of the Baltic Sea are not aware of. Then, in addition to our projects and the projects for other funding programs, we see that it's very important to be connected to the strategy for the Baltic Sea region, like, for example, policy Area Nutri that Elsie is bravely leading, or policy area bioeconomy that was also introduced in the very morning. And if we talk about other important stakeholders, of course, there are also pan-Baltic organizations like HELCOM that can be involved in the project platform. And all these important organizations, so partners from Interreg Baltic Sea Region projects, partners of other funding programs, policy area coordinators, and pan-Baltic organizations like HELCOM can work together on results of the finalized projects, on the projects that are somewhere in the middle of the implementation, but have already some draft results, in order to consolidate the outcomes, to transfer the knowledge, and shape the policies. So these are the three important outcomes that we would like to see as a result of a project platform that by its end in our case, project platforms can be running up to 3 years. So in 3 years, the results of projects in one topic will be consolidated. The partners in a platform will work together in order to transfer the knowledge to the target groups. It can be ministries, it can be, like in your case, agricultural advisories, it can also be farmers. Or for some of the platforms, it can also be important to work on policy improvement. So to produce some recommendation and guidelines how the new regulation should look like, how a policy should be changed. And in our case, in Interact Baltic Sea Region, this type of project platforms, they will be running as projects. But what is very important is that they are our operations of strategic importance. And this is the way how we also look at them, that they should, in a strategic way, look at what kind of projects are being implemented now or have just finalized, what are the important results that need to be consolidated, and why there is a need to look them all together, why these single projects were not enough. As I already mentioned, we are not only inviting to work on a voluntary basis and exchange the results of the projects that are now under implementation or just have finalized. From our side, we would also like to offer additional funding for this kind of consolidation work, policy work. On the overall program level, our program countries have booked 12.6 million euros from the EU funding that will be allocated to project platforms in most probably 2 calls for applications. And we assume that there might be around 13, so 13 project platforms implemented in our program in these 2 calls for applications, with a maximum budget for each project platform up to 1.2 million euros. There are some documents which, if you are interested, you can take a look at and read more, understand what are those project platforms and operations of strategic importance. So project platforms, yes. So this is about the consolidation of the project results, but we will not be doing them in any topic. Of course, we still focus on our program, and we would like to invite the consolidation of these results, the policy work and transfer of the results in line with our 3 program priorities. And if we look at the current topic today, then I would like to mention 2 program objectives that might be relevant for the nutrient recycling. And I think this is where this topic is actually mentioned under both of them. So first, we can take a look at the Water Smart Societies, Priority 2, and our program objective on sustainable waters. Here we finance different actions that are aimed at saving the Baltic Sea, the regional waters, at protecting them from pollution, and also from recovering from the existing pollution. And if we go to another program, priority number 3, climate neutral societies, here we have a program objective on circular economy. So here again, circular recycling of nutrients can be a topic. So this is quite important to remember, that the project platforms need to contribute to one of the program objectives. And yeah, that's a very interesting timing now. We have opened the first call for applications for project platforms, and the call will be open until the 9th of December. There is a mid or medium milestone, or there is a milestone in the middle of this call. So by the 21st of October this year, those who are interested in submitting a project platform idea need to send us a project platform idea form. And then we would also explain what are the next steps for their full application. And in order to understand actually what is happening, you can find more information in our gateway gateway for applicants. You can read the announcement. Now there are some requirements regarding the partnership, regarding the participating projects and types of partners that are invited to join their project platforms, as well as about the role of the, for example, policy area coordinators and other multiplying organizations. You're most welcome to send in your inquiries to our universal platform email address. And this is also the email address where you should send the project platform idea forms. In this call, we offer online consultations, and they are obligatory for all the applicants who are interested to apply. This week on Thursday, we will be running our project platform development workshop, which is fully booked. And we are very happy to see that there are multiple project platform ideas are being developed already in the first call for applications. And I know that some of the partners that presented today, the projects, have already taken part in our previous project platforms, which were quite successful. And one of them was called Sumano platform on sustainable management of manure and nutrients in agriculture. The platform worked on collecting different practices for farmers, how to handle manure, how to deal with it on the farm level, but also contributed to development of the HELCOM regional nutrient recycling strategy that was mentioned today a couple of times. So these are the directions that a project platform can take in order to gather the results and spread them to the target groups. So here on the slide, you can see the link to our project library and take a look on the finalized platforms, and Sumano is one of them. And we are also offering a matchmaking platform. So if someone is interested to create a project platform idea, then you can also go and check this platform. This is a digital platform, and maybe find some partners, some projects to work together. So that would be it from my side at the moment. We are warmly welcome you to check all the documents in the gateway to understand the requirements. And if you feel that you would like to cooperate with partners from other projects in order to bring the knowledge that you are working now on together, bring it further to your stakeholders on the practical level, to the farmers or to the advisories or to the policymakers, to the ministry. So that might be a financial instrument that could support you in your further work. So now I mentioned that we are having the first call for project applications open. If you are interested, please use these opportunities. If you think that it might be a bit too early, we are still considering that there would be the second call for applications sometime in spring next year. Of course, it will be dependent on the results of the first call, so stay tuned, sign up for our newsletter, or get in touch with us at the platform email address.
Okay, thanks a lot. Good information there. And now I will share a bit from Marina was supposed to join from Interreg Central Baltic, and she has the slides prepared, and I will share them with you all later, but I wanted to just point out that Central Baltic has one open call for small projects, but the deadline is in end of October, but they will have a call for regular projects coming on also. The dates for the call are not published yet, but probably during early next year. So there is still chance to get Interreg funding for new projects. But next, bit different kind of funding instrument, the SAP fund by NEFCO. So if Dennis is online to share information from that.
Here I am. Hello, everyone. Hello, Elsie. Pleasure to be here with you today and listening into your various projects. And as there has been quite a lot of PowerPoint presentations today, I actually have a short PowerPoint as well, but I was thinking of first doing an experiment, and instead of having a PowerPoint presentation and me talking, to show you a short 3-minute long video that about the BSAP fund, which is the Baltic Sea Action Plan Fund, that was launched just a couple of weeks ago at the Baltic Sea Day. So let's see if it works. Give me a second here. Okay, check. Can you see and hear the video?
We can see it, but not hear.
You cannot hear. Okay.
Maybe you need to keep your mic open. I don't know. Or
All right, let's see if I keep my mic open.
No, still not here. But we can at least see it.
So I understand you didn't hear, but at least you hopefully got to see the video, and there was all the texts for the sound. So we hope or I hope that it gave you a bit of an introduction to the Baltic Sea Action Plan Fund. I can just share with you then for a couple of more minutes the actual presentation that I was planning to give you, and mentioned a couple of key points about the fund. So it is a fund that is managed by the Nordic Investment Bank as well as NEFCO, but with money from Sweden and Finland, and it has been running for 14 years already, with at the moment more than 70 finalized projects, while 17 ongoing projects all around the Baltic Sea region, irrespective of national borders. So this is, in that sense, a interesting fund, as it has the possibility to finance very early on various projects, but also all around the Baltic Sea area today, with the exception of Belarus and Russia. And I'll just jump over this. This is just an image showing various types of projects. And I will end with a couple of key points about added value of the funds. And this is that it can complement, for example, national or regional financing, quite strong project portfolio with also links to biodiversity, and the fact that it finances projects at a very early stage of the life cycle of a project, that then has made it possible for projects to seek additional financing then for later and larger investments. For example, wastewater treatment plants in the Baltic countries, but also many in respect to various agricultural processes, forestry, sea-based activities, etc. And here again, you'll find more information. So the funding can go both to private and public sector projects. It's falls under the de minimis rule, so the sums are fairly small. It's between 30,000 and maximum of 200,000 euros per project that we finance. And at the moment, however, we have allocated all the funds that we have available, so there's not an open call for proposal. However, we are talking with the various HELCOM countries and hope to be able to secure some more financing. And in that case, during 2025, there would be a new round of or a call for proposal to get more good projects. So with this, I end my presentation, and again, happy to hear if you have any comments or questions later on during the day. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. I think the sub-fund is especially interesting for technologies that are being developed, so it doesn't have to be really advanced in the technology level to apply for that funding. Interreg and might have a bit higher demands in that sense.
Yes, I think so. The BSAP fund can come in quite early on.
Nice. Thank you. So if anybody has questions to the funding organizations at this point, or to any of the speakers throughout the day, now is your turn. If not, I could ask a couple of questions. I know there has been discussion already about forming a platform project on the nutrient recycling, but we are also lacking kind of maybe there would be need to be more projects running on this topic for it to be feasible. So how we can create more activity on this topic, and in general, what kind of cooperation is still needed? Is this kind of events good and needed also in the future, so we can share what is going on, what is still needs to be done, or how do you want to proceed with this kind of events? Was this now fruitful for you? Go ahead, Torfi.
Thank you, Elsie. Thank you all for very interesting presentations and the good seminar. And as I mentioned at the beginning, bioeconomy has, of course, for long been working hand in hand with PA Nutri about nutrient leakage and nutrient recycling, because this is, I mean, we are talking about circular agriculture practices. We are talking about preserving nutrients and reducing the pollution from very often agriculture. It seems to me that we have been touching on at least like 3 very important areas that we might maybe try to look into more closely. That's one is definitely the quality / pollution of the materials we are working with, of these biomasses, which is a challenge and a concern, and something there definitely has to be some work about that. One is economy, and because like as we heard very clearly, I mean, we are talking about very often biomass with a lot of water content, and we cannot transport them very easily. They have low value per ton or per unit. So this is also like a very interesting issue, like, because one thing is to, as we know from just household recycling, I mean, recycling plastic is really garbage is not really possible. The only sensible thing is to reduce. So maybe this is also one avenue of work to see how can we simply reduce the reduce the problem instead of solving it. And then legislation and policy, which is maybe where we in the PAs are also working with our steering groups, kind of to look into where are the areas where we have bottlenecks in terms of policy and regulations. Is that on local level, national level, or EU level, and how can we work together and learn from each other about that? So I think there's a lot of interesting subjects here, and I would like to hear some others also commenting on these issues.
Very good comment. Thank you, Torfi. And Vera, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. First of all, to say that I thought this is extremely helpful today, this day, to have all this information and the talks about the running projects, especially if you're not so much into this whole subject and topic. So for me today, I'm actually not working with nutrient recycling or agriculture, but I'm eutrophication manager. But nevertheless, I'm working a lot in HELCOM and working with the nutrient recycling strategy. So for me, it was today important to see and hear what are the experiences in the regions, what are the ongoing projects. And then interestingly, and I don't really know where that comes from, but the one takeaway message for me today was that we have certain countries that are really front runners for this topic, while there's very little happening in other countries. And for instance, in Germany, I think we still struggle to get a grip on the issue and involving the relevant stakeholders, although we in the country have huge problems with basically not having our nutrient surpluses spread evenly. And we have this area with high animal densities. And I think we have no strategies what to do about it. So it's interesting and further to consider what is the learning experience of those countries that have gone ahead with the topic, and for those lagging behind, what are the next steps. I think working a little bit with agriculture and only having marginal experiences, but with the measures for combating eutrophication, we know that it is a really difficult sector. And I would like to come back also for the overall discussion with what one speaker said at the very beginning of our session here. I think we heard a huge amount on local efforts and communication and getting stakeholders involved. And I think all the work we heard is really important to get to understand where do these nutrient streams come from, to make good products, to make safe products, to propagate this on the ground. On the other hand, I'm convinced that knowing about agricultural policy, nothing will happen if we don't look at where are the big screws, and this is really the common agricultural policy. Where are the incentives set of how farmers organize their work, what fertilizer they are using? And I think what we heard today goes into all sorts of different businesses and our way of doing things better in the future, and trying to get rid of the existing bad incentives to really waste the nutrients and so on, and not closing the loops. But I think it's also more of a systemic question. So I would really question on how far could we come with the efforts on the ground? And I think today we heard that it can only start with local initiatives and with projects and with money. But what happens when it stops? And how can we perpetuate the good examples? And I think we should turn to this question really early in the process. Maybe also I think we heard little projects today investigating the bigger frameworks, EU legislation, and what to do about it for the agricultural policy in the future, and maybe also in other sectors. And I think it would be wise to look into this, because otherwise I think it will remain localized solutions on the ground, and we will really struggle to keep them viable and running, while actually what we are looking here at is rebuilding our economy to be more sustainable. And then we need to really address a lot of players on a lot of different levels. And in the end, I think it comes down to really looking into the incentives more. And what is the price politics of mineral fertilizer? How can we factor in the high energy costs? How can we really look into the whole production chain? So, but this is nothing special to nutrients. I think this is relevant in a lot of sectors. And I think it's maybe important to have some systemic analysis early in the process to also bring the advice to the other levels. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Vera. I think that was really good. Essi, go ahead.
Yes, thank you for this day. A lot of information have been here, and need to say, because I'm looking this very practical level, how to make things happen here in the Archipelago Sea area. So I'm again thinking how to make sure that, because there is a lot of good research going on and very important information coming from there, and I think it's usable for the farmers as well as us who are dealing with the problems in the waters. But how to make sure that information going through the whole chain until the end to the field, and also I'm thinking, because we are as a different kind of actor here, we are working at different levels. So also this is connecting how we do the cooperation and share the information. That's why I think this kind of webinar is very good to check through kind of like examples, but then maybe the next step, how to also create more discussion between actors and different levels, but also at the same levels, if we think about the different kind of like projects to build. So I don't know, maybe more questions than answers, but yeah, I think it's important. But yeah, how to bring this to the next level, I think it's very important question. And yeah, this kind of thoughts.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you.
No, that's really good. No, especially struck me Petri at the beginning during the morning mentioned water management programs in Finland, and how there is the kind of a catchment area coaches or some. I don't know how they're. I don't remember how they are in English now. But for nutrient recycling or for fertilizing, we don't have something like that, like a local level advice givers. That would.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, yeah, we have in Finland those, I don't know, advisors, neuvojat in our services, but it's still that the farmers need to kind of like contact them, not to others, other way around. So that's the challenge, how to kind of like, if it's now it's
how to make them
depends on the
interested.
farmers what they are asking and what is their interest and needs, and they are asking help for those. But how to kind of like turn it to the other way around. Yeah,
exactly. Sari, go ahead.
Yeah, I would maybe add to this that we have quite a lot of data. For instance, in Finland, we have been working on it for years already, and we have made analysis of what kind of a systemic change would be needed, and we have tried to identify where to make the changes and what kind of whip and carrot might work to make it happen and so on. But it's a really complex issue, and I think a big part of it is also still that we need more communication about what this is about. Referring to the news that was also in the chat today about any impurities in a digestate in Finland just today, I think if a person who does not know anything about nutrient recycling, they are really sort of very shocked about such things. But then if you know what happens, and then you know the reasons why these kind of things might happen, and then you know the things that could be done differently to prevent such issues, that kind of awareness is not present at the moment, I think. So trying to communicate all the things that we know already, and like we heard today about a lot of things we have studied and we have results for, and we have good results that the recycled fertilizer products can be safe, they can be good for the environment also, and they that there are really good reasons for why to pursue nutrient recycling. But we need to still try to communicate this better, and for not only the policymakers and not only the farmers and not only the companies and businesses producing and selling these products, but to everyone, so that this can work. And then I think that might also bring up the pushes to improve the safety, so that any issues with impurities, contaminants, and so on would also be leveled up to where the risk is really small and where actually something needs to be done. So yeah, I've been trying to find ways to communicate, but as a researcher, I have my ways, and we certainly need to find something else than sort of this scientific discussion or policy discussion only. We need something more. And if anyone has really good ideas on how to communicate these issues better, then I would really love to be part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. It cannot rely also everything on the researchers. We need more actors involved. Nora, go ahead.
Yes, thanks. Firstly, I start with I've felt that this event today has been a great way of exchanging knowledge and information, and I've learned a lot, and it's actually great also to be more aware of what's done not only in Finland but in other Baltic Sea countries as well. And I do think that some sort of we've also discussed with different actors that some kind of open forum for nutrient recycling experts or stakeholders in this area. Some kind of a forum could be useful to exchange exactly this kind of knowledge and good practices around the area. And what comes to perhaps wider uptake of use of recycled fertilizers, I very much agree that there's a lot of information to be disseminated and it's not an easy task. I think there's a lot of great research being done, as we've heard today, and modifying that into an easy to understand format for farmers and our other actors, that takes a lot, and I think that's a big issue, and it also, I think, something to take into account is that this requires a lot of know-how from the farmers to understand the new ways of using different kinds of fertilizers than they've used to, which would suit their own fields, and there might be a lot of variation between these. So I think this is also something to take into account. And I don't know too much about it. I hope to be a part of it, but I know that there's also a Delhi soil project run by Luke in Finland, and they're creating or starting up these regional some kinds of platforms to disseminate information between experts and farmers. And I thought that's a great example of what's needed, because it really needs, or I think that we need this sort of hands-on events where we're connecting different stakeholders. But yes, thanks so much for today. I really thought this has been useful.
Oh, nice to hear. I think quite many of you are emphasizing that we need more communication and more information exchange. And this was maybe good, but maybe there are also new projects coming. I think a lot of you are involved in many horizon applications and so on and so on. So would be nice to hear from those, would be nice to hear from the EU if they are running ahead with the nutrient recycling paper that they were writing earlier, if it's happening or not. Maybe sharing kind of papers and relevant information for farmers, for trainers, for so on and so on. We could have something like that in the future. So new projects, maybe a bit more focused on some subject, the discussion focused on some subject. So if there is interest, we could probably consider in Nutrien with PA Bioeconomy and organizing follow-up event like this, maybe in half a year or 1 year, I don't know. Depends when there is a new information enough to share, kind of. Not too often, but when something comes up. How does that sound? One thumbs up. Two. Okay. Yeah. So that sounded maybe like a plan. If Torfi is interested in helping me with setting up, inviting important stakeholders who needs to be included. It would be nice to reach out to the more organizations like farmers' unions and so on, and get the information there. Let's see what we can do. Vera, go ahead.
Yes, I think it would be good to have a follow-up and also maybe try to organize it in a way that we hear from all countries around the Baltic Sea where they stand with the subjects, also those that have been really quiet today, not presenting any examples. So to see where we can learn from each other. Thank you.
That's a very good point. So I will see if we can organize such. Finland was easy because I know the people that are working here on it, but on Nutri's steering group, we will maybe take this topic up and see what we can do, if we can find the proper speakers. Okay, so we are a bit over time even, so thanks a lot for everybody. If you still have questions for the speakers, you can send them to me, but you have also the contacts in the presentations, so I will be sharing the presentations, and also the recording will be available online. Thanks a lot for joining, and see you maybe next year again, if not before that.
Thank you, Elsie.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.